Hey YouTube, it's Antoinette. I am signing on and now giving an update in a series of updates of things that are going on in my life right now. I recently reinstated my social work license. It was a very demanding process. Um, I completed 75 hours, 60 were required, but 75 hours of continuing education credits. And then there were other processes that I followed, including um, drafting the application and making sure everything was in place. And then I had to follow a few additional steps to reinstate my social work license. But I'm very excited about that. And one of the things that I know about social work is that you one of the highlights is working from a strengths perspective. So there are many individuals who have been through, very traumatic experiences. And one of the things that I did when I was uh, reinstating my social work license and continuing to see use was I took one of the focuses or foci or what have you was in trauma. And so there can be so much trauma that a person experiences in their life, in his or her life. And that trauma can be with a person from whatever time that trauma begins until the time that the person heals from that trauma. Now, there's an expression that um, time heals all wounds and time heals old wounds. I always like, you know, use that interchangeably because I think a lot of times people use the expression and there's the what the expression is. Sometimes there's a question as to what the actual expression is, but I'm just going to do a quick Google search. And time heals. It's time heals all wounds. So, but time heals all wounds, but sometimes they heal with scars, and in order to heal those wounds, an individual will have to go through a healing process. You have to mourn, whatever the loss is that you've experienced. You have to feel the pain. You have to feel, the hurt that is accompanied by that particular wound, and then you have to begin to recover and heal and rejuvenate yourself. And sometimes, depending on what that wound is, it requires different things, but all of those wounds require an acknowledgement of what occurred in life. And so, in reinstating my social work license, one of the things that I did early in life or early in my social work career was that I worked in adoption and foster care. And I also did counseling. I obtained a certification into which is NTU, into psychotherapy. And then and then I also work with cognitive behavioral therapy and certain other therapies. And so it's been critical in my work with individuals. And even though my career in social work was it wasn't long in terms of actually working for an agency, but the information I learned and the knowledge I acquired over the years has been important in just everyday interactions with individuals and persons. So I have been very aware and cognizant of how the strengths perspective, which is where I began this conversation, informs certain things in a cultural perspective or a perspective that acknowledges individuals from every background, whether it's majority or minority, and the problems that each face, and what needs to be done for a person to heal. And so I think what's really important is that from a strength perspective, you acknowledge, hey, I'm very caring. Hey, I'm very compassionate. Hey, I'm very empathetic or empathic. Hey, I'm very um, um, I'm a good organizer. I'm a good planner. I'm very cool under pressure. When people acknowledge their strengths, they're able to move forward and use those strengths to heal in traumatic situations. And having flexibility is one of those really good things. Now, a person can be conservative or, in certain ways, and that's also a strength. And being rigid, though, may be, it's not bad or good. It's just a characteristic or personality trait. But in being rigid, sometimes a person may not be able, maybe may not adapt as easily to certain situations. So flexibility, which they say is a sign of genius, is a good opportunity to adapt to situations. And if one is rigid, understanding how they can use that rigidity to be strong and to utilize that rigidity to in a way that is beneficial. So if you're a person who is like, well, I do the same thing every morning, I have the same morning ritual. I get up, I brush my teeth, I shower, I make my bed, I cook my breakfast. I have, a 30-minute, 20-minute yoga workout, or I go running for, an hour, or and if you have a very, and you stick to that routine over and over again, someone may consider that rigid because you don't alter that routine at all. But that can be a strength. That consistency in that organization is a strength. So but there's also an opportunity for flexibility, because what if it rains one day? How do you handle that? Do you do an indoor workout instead of an outdoor workout? Or what if someone calls early in the morning with an emergency? Do you handle that emergency, or do you say, hey, I want to stick to this routine? Or do you handle the emergency that the person has brought to you for your assistance or your help? So the point of this particular YouTube was just to update everyone that I've reinstated my social work license. And then also to address and highlight the strengths perspective and social work practice, and then also how the strengths perspective is good for dealing with trauma, for seeing your strengths and dealing with trauma therein. So this has been my short video, and I'll probably upload another video just about continuing to talk about social work and certain other things. But this is my video for today on the strengths perspective, healing trauma, and social work license reinstatement. Okay, signing off. Internet.